Everything seems to have moved since, 2 weeks ago. There we go. Happy days. So welcome aboard, everyone. Thank you for joining me for Trading Buddies. It is nice to have your company once again after a couple of weeks layoff. Well, Ash and I rejuvenated ourselves. If there's a word, is that a word? Rejuvenated, I think it is. Had a break anyway. Let's put it that way. I'm going to change my name to my name. There we go. Hope you had a nice break as well. Wonder how your trading was going throughout that 2-week period. And if you would like to share that with us throughout the day or the next hour or so, please do so. It would be great to hear how you've been trading throughout that 2-week period. Righto, I haven't been doing too much, just my daily stuff, which of course is a morning thing. And without this afternoon gig, I don't get in front of the charts too much. So let's take a look around. You should be able to see my goal screen at this point, I think. So let's talk about that. Those of you here for the first time, I don't know that anyone is here for the first time, but if you are, thank you so much for joining us. It's nice to have you on board. You'll see a few things that aren't familiar to you, I'm sure, in the next little bit. Don't be concerned about that. Please ask questions if you are uncertain. There's nothing like standing in the dark like a mushroom. You need to ask the questions, and please do so. Don't just sit there wondering what the heck we're doing. Ask questions. And of course, you are more than welcome to share any thoughts that you have around the markets day in, day out in this show. It is, after all, about sharing. So what we're trying to do here is capture a breakout of gold versus the US dollar as we go into London session. It's a couple of minutes to go before London session. So we isolate the session prior to London. Well, that's actually not true. The session prior to London is Europe, because Brussels opens just a little bit before, an hour before, in fact. So there is the range. Asia session doesn't start till the second candle of the day, so I don't count the first candle. We've got a high here just below the weekly pivot, and we've got a low here currently just below the daily pivot. Don't mind that side. I don't like trading into the weekly pivot without profit, of course, but we're not here to discuss that. We're actually going to have a breakout at some stage of the NFPC, or formerly known as NFP, reaction here on Friday, which kind of gives me a little bit more hope that if we do break out of here, we will reach a target. Why? Because we've been coiling up inside here ever since, inside that range. So when we do break out of here, I think it'll be a genuine breakout. That, of course, remains to be seen. But we will take an entry long above here and an entry short below here. Much prefer price to be up here, though. When I say we will take it, that's how the rules go. I'm not that keen, I've got to say, because we are very close to the low, and we've got a strong resistance area to the high. So I'm inclined not to take this trade. Why? Because the first movement in London session can often be a false movement. So if that were to be short and take us into the short, then whipsaw back to the upside, or over time to the upside. That's not where I want to be. So I'm reluctant to take this position today, and therefore will not. If we were up here, I'd have no hesitation at all. So I'm not trading this breakout today. What I would like to do is go back and have a look over the last 2 weeks, how the breakout would have panned out. So Friday looks to have been quite worthwhile, depending on how that candle was formed. And I imagine that it went down before it went up, having opened here. For that reason, you would have been taken into the short, and you would most definitely have hit DS1 down here somewhere, which would have been your target. So that would have been a winner. The day before, Thursday, where absolutely nothing happened, I would say you would have struggled to remain in that had you taken that trade. In fact, you would have lost, almost certainly would have lost. Day before that, the Wednesday, where's the 9 o'clock bar? That's the 2 o'clock bar. 9 o'clock bar is that one. That one. So the low was here. The high was here. It would have been taken into the long and probably stopped out. But I don't know where DR1 was. So a bit tough to say, but I would imagine that would have been a loser. The previous day, however, would have been a big winner. There's no way that would have been going back to its high, so that would have been a winner. The 9 o'clock bar here on this day would have been that one. Yep. So you would have been taken into the short and false break to the short side. That would have been a loser. Day before that, there's the low. You would have been a winner. Day before that, hang on a sec. That's not where I want to be. Anyone counting these? I think it's about even Steven at the moment. That one's a winner. That one's a winner. That one, 9 o'clock bar, is the most important one. 10, there's the 9. Don't know if you would have been taken into that or not. If you survived that, then you would have got another big winner. Are we back 2 weeks yet? No, we're not. We're in the second week, though. This one here didn't go below its low, so that was a winner. I think the winners are winning. This one would have been dodgy. You would have been taken into, where's the 9 o'clock bar? It's that one. So there's the high. Wouldn't have been taken into the high, would have been taken into the short and hammered. Loser. That one, there's the low. That's the 9 o'clock bar. You would have been taken into the long and you should have taken profit there. So that should have been a winner. That definitely a winner. And where's the 9 o'clock bar here? There's 11, 8, 9. So you would have been obviously not taken into the long. Another winner there. And are we up to 2 weeks? Yes, we are. So I reckon you should be in front of the ledger anyway. I haven't recorded those, so I can't give you a definitive answer. But that should still be working. So that's all well and good. No trade today, as I say. Speaking about gold, those of you who have been following the Trading Buddies, what's it called? I can't remember, Elite, something like that. The Trading Buddies signals or my trades, you would know that we are in gold short and we are in silver short. Gold based on this bar here. What were we trading? I think it's a false break. Entry would have been there actually. Yep. So there's your buying. There's your trading bar. That's the selling bar. For some reason, we got slipped a long way on that one. For some reason, I didn't notice that. Was that FOMC? Could have been. Anyway, we got dragged into that or pummeled into that, and still looking for more downside on gold. We've taken no profit yet, but I have moved my stops from where they were up here to 19. I can't see the exact figure. $1964-ish. It's around there somewhere. Anyway, today, that doesn't look too dusty at the moment. There is a strong resistance area above us, so feeling quite comfortable with this gold short. Hopefully it can get some momentum today and take us further towards our first take profit, which is very, very ambitious, I've got to say. I think it's something like 500 pips I was looking for, which is what, $50 I was looking for on this one. In fact, it was more than that. Was our entry there? No, that's about right, about $50, which is a big fall, of course, on gold. But there I saw the setup. And silver, we are also trading short. And this one was based on again, another false break, but I think it was on the 4-hour chart that I took this one. Can I remember? It's a long time ago. Daily? No, it must have been the 4-hour. I think we traded that bar there. Oh, yeah. No, that can't be right. I'll work that out. I won't waste your time. There was a false break in here somewhere, I'm sure. But I just can't see it off the top of my head. Maybe it was on a daily chart. Anyway, we did take profit on that one. Also moved my stop loss on that to accommodate the NFEC announcement from Friday, and got a target down here at 22.15. We need to get through this trade line today, of course, on silver, and it's 50-50 at this stage. It's very, very hard to say. The interesting one for me was Friday, where it did react, of course, to the NFEC number, where the dollar seemed to weaken. I've got a view on that, and I don't think the dollar should have weakened as dramatically as it did on some currency pairs. The indices, I don't think, were that pronounced, but you can see that it had reason to bounce off that trade line anyway. It was a support level. I don't think it's convincing, however, that silver's going to go long here. So I'm looking for a break of this trade line. And if it does break it and retest it, I'll look to scale into that and add to my position short. The third trade that we took last week was and is euro versus the yen. This one was on a 4-hour chart, and you can see that clearly broke above this trade line here, consolidated. This is about picture perfect if you're looking for a slingshot false break. Smashed back underneath it, retested it, entry there, stop loss. I put above the swing because I thought that was a far safer place. I like this not just because it's set up as a false breakout, but a few days later, or a day or so later, it put up, which is the bar that took us in, gave us a left head right. If you can't see that, I'll just make that a little bit more pronounced. So left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline, which is that red line you've got going across the screen, which is from previous support and resistance, broke the neckline, farted around here for ages, broke back above it. So there's your retest, if you like. And since then, we're now back underneath there. So I do like this for more downside, euro versus the yen. I think today is probably going to tell us, or being a Monday, I'm not so sure about that, to be fair, but in the next day or so, I think we'll get a far clearer picture of whether that is a valid head and shoulders. And if that does play out, we've got our next take profit level at the monthly pivot. Oh, sorry, our first take profit level at the monthly pivot. But I think in extension, this has got a decent chance of netting us some money as well. If I look at the bigger picture, we go to the weekly, you can see that this is massively counter trend. But all things that go up, guess what they do? Eventually they come down. I can't see what's behind there, but I don't think there's any recent history anywhere near this level. So on the daily chart, we've got a double top followed by a lower high. So all of those things combined, I think this has got downside possibilities, and that's why I'm happy to be in that trade short at the moment. Might be a bit early, but that lower high here gives me a nice confidence that we have got the right direction, or the direction right. And if it does go, if for some reason the Bank of Japan actually does some money tightening, then this will go. I've got no qualms about that. There are rumours or rumbles around that with asset purchasing at the moment, as I understand it. I'm not a great understander of fundamentals, but The Japanese yen's been so weak for so long. I'm happy to try and catch it early. And if this fails, then so be it. We'll try again some other time. But I think it's a reasonable position to be in at the moment. They're the only 3 trades I've got in the market at the moment, and they're all from last week. But I've got a watch list as long as the Great Wall of China. Speaking of China, I thought he might be a little bit more brown. Hey, look, he's a little bit brown. He's been under the Greek sun for a week. How you doing, mate?
Oh yeah, very good, mate. Very good. You know, it is. Yeah, it's always nice just to get a break in, and there's something about Greece. I don't know what it is, but there's something I really love about Greece. I got a Spain every weekend. I didn't have any ouzo this time.
No.
No, I avoided it this time. Last time we went, we did have a bit of ouzo, and but I don't know. I'm not sure because Kefalonia, it didn't seem so ouzo pushy. Like when we were in Crete, they were really kind of pushing the ouzo, but Kefalonia wasn't really like that. It's a completely different island, Kefalonia. I don't know if you've ever seen.
Is it Metaxa or something? They drink over there.
Metaxa? I've never heard of that one.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, there might be, mate. There might be. There's quite a few Greek islands.
We used to do a Greek cooking show on when I was in television way back in the day, and I'm pretty sure Metaxa, I'll look it up, was a drink. Pretty sure it was.
Oh yeah, it might be. Well, Kefalonia is the island of Odysseus, and that's that sort of I kind of did a bit of Greek mythology when I was at college, so he was always the one. In fact, he was the first kind of major character that we approached. So I've always wanted to go to Kefalonia because there's a little island off it where he was supposed Ithaca, which he was supposedly from. But it's just I don't know. There's something about the place. It was just the pace of it and the people and the size of it and the just everything about Kefalonia is it's got a real pull to it. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Well, you certainly picked the right place. If you're going to Greece, there were far worse places to be. Terrible things going on over there with the heat and the fires and all the rest of it.
Yeah, Rhodes and there was another island that not too far up north actually from Kefalonia that also suffered. I don't know if it's still going on or not. Obviously, I've not really been up on the news for the last week, so I'm not sure if it's going on. But the heat was. We got there and it was 40 degrees, but they said the week before it was 50. So I think the heat is just it's just crazy.
That's too much.
Yeah, dangerously hot. Anyway, mate, let's talk markets.
What's going on in your world?
Well, quite a few ideas, but the problem I've kind of got at the minute, like today specifically, is the kind of risk reward is just not there. I've got a few things that I like. I like this. I like this. A Kiwi dollar for some downside. Looking on the hourly charts. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. On the hourly charts, I quite like this, and coming into this area here, I quite like that. But again, the downside doesn't really. The risk to reward ratio isn't so much there. It's not too bad now, actually. Coming up there because you'd be sort of like putting stops at that point. That looks better. So I might well be taking this on at some point today. Probably at the top of the hour, we can have another look at that. Euro Kiwi for some downside, which is actually playing out now. But again, I looked at it and I wanted to take this on. This was the kind of trigger bar, and I know people like to put stops there, but I much prefer them at the previous level. But the issue really was that I saw this trend line as a potential target, and that really doesn't really give much in the way of risk reward. It's around about a 1-to-1, and I'm not that interested in a 1-to-1. The setup, this was a possibility. Taking it right on that point there was a possibility, which would have made it really attractive, actually. And I considered it at the time, but I didn't like this bar, the prior bar, really. So then this bar comes into play, and of course, as I say, you could say that, but the risk reward is just not there. The pound Swissy, I think, is an interesting one for some upside as well. But
Oh
again,
man, that's my favourite pair to watch at the moment. I can't find a way in though, and if you can find a way in
yeah,
long, please tell me.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
reason it's been in a range for, is it 11 months, 10 months now? Inside,
10 months.
it's
Yeah,
10 inside bars.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I like this one, and actually, I mean, it'll bring us on. It bring me on to the kind of main idea today, which is really selling the Swissy. And I'll show you a
Interesting.
couple. Yeah, there's a few issues with it. This one I like though. I like it for upside, but I don't see much in the way of reward beyond that point there. And because of that, it just stops down there, maybe even under the pivot. It just doesn't make it. It's a one-to-one trade. It's just, I don't know, not that attractive in my opinion. But kind of going through the Swissy, if we have a look at the dollar Swiss, just coming under the monthly pivot now, but it has kind of gone above it already once.
I don't know who's lost their share. Is it me, or have I lost the whole?
Oh, I don't know actually. It might be you have frozen up. Guys in the room, could you let me know if you can hear me? If you can't hear me, then it is me. Okay, I'm coming out. Oh, you can hear me. Okay, fine. Oh, it must be Jeff. Okay, Jeff, you still there, mate? You're muted at the minute.
I'm back.
Okay, cool. It was you. Okay, fine.
Bloody Elon Musk.
So the dollar Swissy, another one I like for long. It's just come up against this trend line and just rejected that point, but maybe just targeting back down again. And these are the issues that I've got. The idea of going in a specific direction is only half the battle. Where is it going? This is going to have to break through that level. Same with the CAD Swiss. I also like this one for some upside, but it's struggled so far to kind of get beyond the weekly pivot. That's the area really to go long. If that can get through that area, then there will be, I think, a lot of people that are interested in buying this, and I think this one's got a lot further to go. You were just saying about the ranges. You look at this on a monthly chart, right at the bottom here. Or near, whichever lines you put on, it's kind of right at the bottom or near what looks like, well, certainly the bottom area of the price points. And I think there's a
what
chart.
Have you got there, mate?
This is the CAD Swiss.
No. Sorry, I should have been a little bit more specific. You've got a low around about December of 2016, is it?
There's this one here, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah, that is, yep. January 1st, yep.
Then you got a lower low about a year later, 3 years later.
Yep.
And now you've got another lower low about 3.5 years later.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What do I call that?
You call that the three little cowboys.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So I am fully on board with upside here, but getting in is problematic.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, this is the target. I think the target is big for this one. The good thing about this is the swaps are in the favor. So actually, I don't mind sort of like getting into this and holding on to it. I've just it's just kind of getting and maybe even adding to the position, but it's just getting beyond this point, as I say. If it can get beyond there, I think there's going to be a lot of buying interest coming in. You look at this on a daily, and actually let's look on the 4-hourly just so we can see it in the middle of the screen. There's another little trend line there, which we're starting to get these higher lows here. No, it hasn't pushed, which is fair, but we're getting down here somewhere. We could even be sort of like starting to get in somewhere on the bottom of the right shoulder. So if this is a 4-hour, there's the left. I'll draw it up. There's our left there. There's our head. And then it's just kind of like seeing if we can get a right shoulder somewhere in this area. So that really needs it. It would need the price action to get up, maybe up, test here, come back, and then I think there's an entry there. I think that's probably the safest way to try and trade it if it comes back. You know, I mean, I suppose if it gets through this point, it might not come back. It might be a long way before it does. Might be a while before it comes back. But I wouldn't even mind if it kind of like floated up a little bit further and then maybe even came back to here and formed this as an inverted head and shoulders instead. So I'm really looking for weakness in the Swissy. I guess the issue with it is the risk of the market. You know, the market is kind of in a bit of a risk-off scenario. Not loving. If we have a look at the Nasdaq, let's look at this one here. You look at the Nasdaq. We have seen some moves to the downside. Managed to kind of form a double bottom right on top of this this support line here. So I think maybe a push for the Nasdaq is on, but really you're still looking for the Nasdaq to potentially be trapped in a bit of a zone. You know, in these areas here. There's the short with the Nasdaq probably. Bit of risk on maybe kind of coming in today, but Canada's offline. It's sort of like the start of the week, and I'm not sure whether we're going to get the movement that I need today. So I'm being a little bit cautious, mate. I think maybe sort of like towards the US session, maybe we could start to kind of like look for some opportunities. Maybe even towards Tuesday, Wednesday, we could start to look at opportunities as well. But little bit of risk coming back into market, which would suggest the Swissy could see some weakness. But I think overall the mood is just a little tepid to negative, which might suggest that the Swissy's got possibly just a little bit more juice, not necessarily to gain, but to maybe hold its positions and its patterns. So a break of some of those patterns would be attractive. You know, that's really what I'm looking out for. But you know, we saw the Euro Kiwi earlier on. There's obviously some risk on in the market. You look at the Aussie yen, same deal. Aussie yen is just starting to, just forming some upside today. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's just trying to form some upside today. Off this daily pivot, so that you can see there is a bit of risk in the market. Not a lot at this stage, but there's a little bit of risk in the market. So that would also suggest that we could start to see some of these risk-off currencies coming off a little bit. I agree with you on the yen. The yen's a tricky one, and the big problem I've got with the yen is the swaps are just crazy because the interest rates are so low. The swaps are just crazy. Yep. So holding that one overnight, painful. So you really, the yen's a great currency to either short really or scalp, for want of a better term. Not actual scalping on a 5 or 1 minute chart, but scalp as in a day trade. You're not a day trade, but an intraday trade, in and out really on the day. But holding over positions overnight, you've got to be pretty convinced that is going to strengthen on the day. Yeah. and more.
Yeah, I'm in that position at the moment, so we'll see what today brings. I won't hang on too long here, that's for sure. I agree.
Yeah,
talk to me about the pound from a fundamental, seasonal, and COD point of view, because I can't decide whether it's going to appreciate or crash.
Yeah, difficult one, isn't it, mate? The seasonals are weak. The inflation picture still suggests further upside for the pound. I think that Bank of England obviously raised interest rates again last week. I think that the economic fundamental picture of the UK is poor, and I think that there is a danger that the bank over tighten and really collapse the economy. I think the economy is already in bad shape. We've had Halifax house price index out today, and they showed further weakness. There's so many kind of indicators that suggest that the squeeze on people is just becoming maybe too hot to handle. We're getting close to that particular point. But I don't know what choice the Bank of England have got right now. Inflation is particularly hot and continues to be in a pretty bad space right now. I don't know how they square that circle without raising interest rates. So they're talking about 6%. I think we're closer to the end. I think not necessarily the end, but closer to an end for this particular run. I wonder whether there might be a pause next time out, or whether there might even be a pause, full time. That they need to see inflation coming back. They saw a little tiny glimmer of hope last time out, but not enough. If we were talking about a strong economy, I think there'd be no question the Bank of England would go, but we're not. We're talking about an economy which is struggling while inflation is raging. So it's a tricky one. But as I say, seasonals are weak. COT data, from what I remember, I will bring it back up actually. COT data is I think a bit tepid. Here we go. Here's the COT data for the pound. Let me share my screen.
I'll show you the reason why I'm asking the question when you're done.
No, you know what? The commercials are heavily short with a pound. Heavily short. So actually, this is, and if you went through all the COT data charts, you would see that the Aussies around about midway, the CAD's recovered. It's not right at the extreme lows. The Swissy just weakening a little bit. Euro short as well. Euro's weak. The pound is weak. The yen's picking up. The dollar's picking up, and the Kiwis around about midway. So it looks like the euro and the pound are the two ones that the two currencies that the commercials certainly are either hedging against or doing something against. I don't know what, but they're doing something against those currencies. So then you'd be sort of like trying to pick out something which showed some upside. The dollar looks okay. I agree with your analysis on the dollar. Dollar looks okay for some upside, but what's the chart saying? Well, the chart is definitely saying potentially some pound weakness here against the dollar. Let's have a look at that.
I've got that. I've got that circled. I've also got it circled against the yen, but I've got it long against the Swissy, same as you.
Yeah.
But that's based purely on the chart, nothing else.
Well, absolutely, yeah, and that's it does make it difficult. However, what I would say is that I'm the same as you, so I would have it short against the dollar. I'd have it short against I would have it short against the yen as well. I think the yen's got some strength coming, and I'd have it long against the Swissy. But that would suggest that a dollar Swiss long would be a better trade, and it's just then sort of like saying, well, is there a way to get in? You look at this on the dailies. This has produced a higher high and potentially a higher low. So it's just kind of finding a way into the dollar Swiss to kind of boost it. Because as I say, if pound Swiss is long and pound dollar is short, then it would suggest that the dollar Swiss is the one to go for.
It does, indeed, it does.
Yeah.
The dollar's really interesting. I've got it toss of a coin area.
Yeah.
Do you want me to show you why?
Yeah, sure, mate. Yeah. And
Okay.
fundamentally, I think that would match what's going on, because with the jobs market still remaining very, very tight in the US, it's still kind of like adds this question about whether the Fed are going to go again. And but there's the inflation narrative is improving for the doves. So I think there's a possibility that we could see some weakness in the dollar, but it could be that we see some strength in the dollar purely because the fundamental picture is actually pretty good. If we kind of look across the right across the board of all countries, forget the currency, but looking at the country, the United States is doing pretty well.
Apart from their debt, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean the debt is crazy.
It doesn't seem to mean anything.
No, well, it will at some point.
1.5 GDP or something.
Yeah, I know, mate. It's crazy, isn't it? And it will at some point. But we got core CPI data out on Thursday, and I guess that is going to be a bit of a mover for the dollar. Looking still to be coming quite hot. CPI as well, year on year, 3.3%. So they're actually looking for a little bit of an uptick in inflation, the forecasters. So if that happens, I think we're going to see some dollar strength for sure.
Yeah, well, here's how I've got it. And this is why it's a little bit confusing, because ultimately I see this down here around about 90. But right now, and I mentioned this a few weeks ago, I saw it going sideways for quite some time. I'll use the weekly chart to display that. I saw that area there, even coming in from here, has been resistance and support. Resistance again, two lots of support down the bottom. So I figured this would just tag along here until something, I don't know, extraordinary happened. We got the break below this level, which surprised me, and then got a retest of it, which didn't surprise me. But at that point, I thought an entry below here opens this right up in concert with this scenario. But that hasn't yet happened. Instead, what we've got is a false break, clear false break in my book, of this support area and even this low, or this area of low, which is the bottom of the range, of course. So at the moment, I see this as a false break of that area, meaning I see this going back into that range that I just spoke about, back into here, first target here, second target here, then get out and watch it do that again.
Yeah.
So big picture, I'm down here. Medium term, I'm not sure. Short term, I'm here. I'm long.
Yeah, I'd agree with that analysis, and I'll tell you one of the reasons I think that the analysis is correct. I'm not sure. The big picture is very difficult to ascertain, but because we don't know how long it could take for that picture to establish itself. But the short-term picture, I think, for these currencies may well be some bouncing around in some of these ranges, and it is finding the top of the range, finding the bottom of the range, and seeing what was to happen from there. And the reason for that is I wonder whether we might be getting close, at least, to the end of central bank intervention. And I mean that as in, I don't think they're going to lower the rates either. I don't think we're going to get that move, but eventually they will. And I suppose that's when the big picture will take hold. I think that if the United States, because the DXY, of course, is heavily linked to the yen and the euro, but if the United States does manage to tame this inflation, which it looks like it may well do, before most others, then they will pause first, and I don't know how long that pause will come. But if they do start to see a weakening economic picture, which we're also seeing, if you look at the data from China particularly, and the Eurozone and the United Kingdom, but if we're seeing sort of some of this global economic picture start to weaken, then we go into reverse again, and we start to see something, whether it's yield curve control, whether it is by rebuying assets, whether it is lowering interest rates, whatever it is. At that point, depending on what timing they have established, if they are way in front of everybody else, they're probably going to be one of the first to then loosen policy, which does then bring the big picture in. But I don't think we're going to be there for a while. I think we're probably going to pause at best, and maybe even raise a little bit further at worst. So that suggests that we could be hitting this range, and I think it's going to be the same for. I mean, there's no way that the United Kingdom could be lowering interest rates. Even with a recession, I don't think that they've got the chance. Really, they're just going to have to sit this one out. But the likes of other countries may well be getting close to the end of their hiking cycle, and we're seeing that really across the board. Even the ECB, who are and actually the BOE are a good example as well. ECB and BOE. Both of them have still got inflation problems, and yet they are slowing the pace of the rate hikes. So that is suggesting that the train is coming to a pause and coming to a halt, and that suggests that we could be seeing some currency fluctuations that remain in a range until somebody goes and says, right, now's the time to flip, and then we start to see the move. I think that's a few months off, mate, and I wonder whether it's even this year.
That all sounds good to me, mate. Range on, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, it could be a really good time to be a slingshot trader. You know, if this is the case, you know, but tankards don't turn on a dime. I mean, unless you're talking about the Nasdaq, which seems to want to turn on a dime no matter what happens. It's the V shapes in the chart of a Nasdaq are astonishing. And I suppose you could argue that with some currencies, but they don't tend to do that. They tend to go to an area, decide what's going to happen next, and then either go again or genuinely reverse. I wonder whether, because of all the volatility that we've had, that there's just a little bit of calm in the market, at least for this month. I mean, we are talking about summer as well, so at least for this month.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we're going to take that into consideration. But you know, what we're just talking about, if they're not horizontal ranges, here's what I'd be looking out for. Things like this, and they're popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
So this area here, as I said before, is a big target area for me, not just because of the horizontal situation, but that channel is exactly the same. If I have a look at things like CAD Swissy, was also exactly the same. Whoops.
Yeah.
It's also got a beautiful channel sitting there. On the daily chart, that'll do.
Do you know, mate? I think you and I are on the same picture with this one, in as much that I am hyper keen on this one, really keen to take this one on. Yeah, I mean, you know, that move that happened this year, you know, we're talking about since January this year, is so deep and so aggressive that it would suggest that the upside is not necessarily equal, but you know, on. You know, it just needs to break some levels, and I think that this one is on. So and a pause from both the BOC and the SMB as well. They're up to something or another. I don't really understand their monetary policy, but they are doing something. And a pause from both of them would suggest that the CAD Swiss could start to rally again. And if you look at the monthly on the CAD Swiss, which you're on there, and put in, you know, get as much time as you possibly can on the chart, and find where around about the midpoint is. I don't know if you're able to do that, but the midpoint in an average price of this one.
That's about as far as I can go.
That's okay.
On this chart, you're probably looking at around here somewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, you look at that, and that would suggest that we are at you look at that lower range now on the monthly that you said about, you know, since that's been created since around about March 2014 or something. We are at the bottom end of that lower range, and if something around about fair value or midpoint or reversion to the mean, I suppose we could maybe term it better, is way above even the high of that point, that would suggest to me that we get somewhere near that high again, you know, somewhere near the top of the box again. So that's what I'd like to aim for.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. But the same, and probably even more so for me, and we spoke about this earlier, is pound Swissy. And I spoke about the three amigos standing on their heads. But what is more evident to me is this bar right here, which happened in October last year. Since October last year, every single piece of price has been inside that bar. Yeah. Nothing has gone outside that bar.
Yeah, interesting.
So to my mind, what happens next is not a leak to the upside, it's a skyrocket.
Yeah.
This is building up so much energy down here that this will take off, in my humble opinion.
I agree with you. And do you know what I find surprising is that if you look at the carry between these two currencies, and actually the carry between anything pretty much with the Swissy, apart from the yen, I find it quite amazing that the Swissy has strengthened in the way it has.
Yeah, look, we were in this for quite some time. Not pound versus Swissy, but CAD versus the Swissy.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't get it to break through. I'll go back to it. Could not get it to break through. Tried here, and fell away.
Yeah.
Not a CAD story. It's a Swissy story.
It is a Swissy story. You're absolutely right, mate. Because you know, across the board. Hi, Lewis.
G'day, Lewis. And like you, I just don't understand how the Swissy can stay so strong for so long.
Yeah.
And every time it gets challenged, it keeps going, no, I'm the boss here.
Well, yeah.
And so
absolutely.
it does.
But I tell you what, there are very, very keen traders looking at this particular price point. And that's what I like. You know, I love the price point of this, and I'll be happy to hold it all the way back to the top of the box. No, you know, I wouldn't have an issue with that at all with something like this, because you're not paying swaps. You know, in fact, you're getting paid swaps. So I'll be happy if this one does start to move. I'll be happy to hold on. So I am trying to get in, mate. This one is kind of my trade. The other thing is the CAD economically, the Canada economically, they're doing pretty well. And of course they're neighboring the United States, who are also doing pretty well. So you'd suggest that if you're looking at any economy, that the Canadian economy could do it. But Aussie Swiss, pound Swiss I don't like, because I think the pound, the UK itself is incredibly broken. But Aussie, you know, I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. And it's just about when the boom comes. You know, when does the next sort of thing start to turn? Now, of course, there are. Do you know what I heard yesterday? Somebody reminded me that back in 2022, when the Fed were talking about inflation being transitory, they made a statement saying we're not even thinking about raising interest rates because it was, you know, it was transitory. They got it so badly wrong that it just kind of reminds us that
a lot of economic commentators got exactly fell into exactly the same hole.
Yeah,
transitory. You know, not happening.
Yeah,
it happened.
But it was the fact that they were so slow, and you know, the Bank of England were exactly the same. And I didn't realize this either. They've employed Ben Bernanke to you know, advise the BOE, the Bank of England.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, on an advisory role, they've employed Ben Bernanke. So
those of you who don't know who Ben Bernanke is, he's a former chair of the Fed.
Yeah, two back. Two back, and he won an award, didn't he? He won what's the top award that they all get?
Don't know.
Highly coveted. I think Einstein won it, and Marie Curie won it. It's
really? One of those?
Yeah. What is it?
I know what you're trying to say, and it won't come to me. Pulitzer Prize.
No, it's not the Pulitzer. The Pulitzers are for writing.
Oh, that's an art thing, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, but you're right on the right track, because that's the one I was just thinking of. I think it might start with P.
Somebody will get there.
Yeah. But you know, he just won that. I mean, it's, you know, and the amount of economic pain the man caused, it's amazing, really. But he's highly respected, and you know, they've got him on board. And it basically, you know, the article I read, that the comment on the article was, you know, if they've got Ben Bernanke on board, they are panicking, you know, in big trouble. Nobel, thank you, Catherine. Nobel Prize.
Brilliant, Catherine. Brilliant.
So he's just, I mean, it's, you know, but anyway, the fact that they say one thing and they do another, I think shouldn't surprise anyone. So going on speeches, people don't trust the Fed, which is why we've seen, an explosion in assets all the way through this tightening cycle, because everybody's like, well, they're gonna weaken next time. They're gonna weaken next time, and they haven't done it yet. It's the one time that the Fed have, you know, actually done what they said they're going to do. But the truth is that they are working off the data, just like everyone else. You know, they don't know what's going to happen. You know, economists are traditionally just very poor at predicting what's going to happen in the future. I also heard the other day that I think it was 60% of funds actually underperform the overall market, which just goes to
60%.
show you.
That
Yeah,
puts
it
you
was a high
confidence
number, mate.
in managed investments, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, do you know? Well, this is the thing. You know, I've been chatting to a mate of mine recently, and he's got this financial advisor, and I said to him, look, you know, in my opinion, you are better off just waiting for a 10% crash in the market or a 10% correction and buying. And if it goes down another 10%, buy some more, because it will always go up. You don't need a fund, you know, to be paying some fund manager to be sort of, you know, who they've probably all gone to the same London School of Economics or somewhere, so they've all got the same models. And if 60% of them are underperforming the market, chances are his dude's underperforming the market. So you may as well just buy the market yourself. You know, when it comes down to
thing is, Ash, this time it's different, right?
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, even that in itself is a difficult one, isn't it? Because at some point it will be. You just don't know. You don't know when it's going to be, and that's the thing. Economists just don't know. Nobody really knows. Well, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's coming. Nobody knows, and the reason you don't know what's coming is that you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know. You don't know that they weren't even thinking about. They weren't even. Yeah, thinking about raising interest rates, and then all of a sudden we've had the highest rate hike in 12 months in history. So so they don't know, and we don't know what they're going to do next. So you just kind of, you know, have to react as you see fit as time goes on, and don't panic, and, you know, just try and follow your strategy and do all that kind of stuff. Make sure it works, of course. Make sure the strategy is working, and I think you'll be better off, as I say, than a lot of these funds that claim to be. What it also tells you, mate, if that many people are putting money in funds, it tells you the lack of financial proficiency with people.
No,
you know, people are so
trading
nervous.
options. I mean, yeah,
yeah, people are so nervous that they just
the best option they've got.
Yeah, they don't know how to manage their own capital, so they're kind of like looking to these supposed gurus and giving them cash. It reminds me of you know, plumbing. You know, if you look at a plumbing in your house or your flat, you can probably do 90% of it yourself. But people are so nervous about touching stuff that they'll call an expert to come and change a tap, and pay them a lot of money to do so.
Yep, true story. Here's the reason I don't like the Aussie Swissy as much as I do the CAD Swiss and the Pound Swiss.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think it's still got some downside.
Yeah.
This chart to me is pretty clear.
Yeah.
That we're in a pretty strong downtrend, and we have broken that level.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. Can you bring up the Aussie CAD then? In that case,
I can. Daily?
So what you're seeing here, because that would suggest that you're seeing Aussie CAD downside as well.
Yes, it would.
Okay. I guess you'd be drawing the same sort of channel.
But then not necessarily. Because I wouldn't be looking to sell that right there, that's for sure. Oh, hang on. Let me get that right. It's not as clear, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's nearer the bottom. Has it bounced off the bottom? That would be the question I'd have to ask myself. Less clear to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Far less clear. And the thing that probably would tip me towards the CAD at the moment is this chart, which is oil.
Yeah.
But I have to wait. Oh, I'm so peed off about this one, Ash. Do we speak about this? Well, look where I bought oil.
Sure.
I bought oil here on the back of this break and retest, right?
Yeah.
Got this first take profit, no problem. Movement stops to entry, didn't I? And look what happened. Trailing stop got hit. and missed all that.
Yeah, that is disappointing. It's top of the range now.
Yes, right. That's right. So
Yeah.
I've now got to wait. Not that I'm going to chase it, but I've now got to wait to see exactly what pans out here. If this is a genuine break of this level, which we don't know yet, of course, this has got plenty of upside left to it as well, which would favour the CAD, in my humble opinion. But
Yeah.
I think it's like you said before earlier. It's got an aroma about it that we are not yet ready to trade.
Yes.
In other words, you know, we've got currency pairs pushing their limits, right at their limits, or they've come off their limit but haven't yet confirmed that they're reversing.
Yeah.
I think that's the situation that we find ourselves at the moment.
Yeah, I agree, mate, and I think that just some patience here is probably the name of the game, and it might be throughout the month. You know, you might be able to take some very short-term positions, but I think looking for anything that is going to take you for maybe the next few months, it may be just a little bit early to take those on. So the ideas are there, but we definitely need to see more.
Yeah, with the exception of the ones that I'm in. I mean, the ones I'm in are pretty clear to me anyway. I've got a clear reason to be short gold. I've got a clear reason to be short silver. And I've got a clear reason to be short euro yen.
Yeah, I like all those actually. And silver and gold. Silver was always the one that surprised me. You know, when people were buying up gold, it made sense to me in a way. But silver always surprised me because I thought, well, with economic contraction, silver would not be something that I'd be that interested in. And I would have thought it would come down, and it wasn't coming down, but it has started to ease back now. Back to the downside. Gold, I'm finding a little bit tricky to I guess understand. You know, because we've got inflation, but we've got higher bond yields as well. You know, where this one goes is probably going to be defined by the 10-year, I would suspect, and also difficult to see whether do people start going into gold because of the nervousness of the economic outlook, and that would suggest that we could see some gold upside. But silver surprised me a bit, and I have to say, where gold kind of is right now, so not fundamentally but technically, would suggest downside. So I think there, certainly a couple of trades that I wouldn't mind being in.
I think the next time gold rallies, it's going to go through these highs.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But that could well be after it goes down to 1,200. Who knows?
Yeah,
I can't predict that with any.
I agree. Not one. You wouldn't be wanting to hold on to this, would you, as a trade? I think it'd be okay to kind of buy physical, but and just wait however many years it takes. But I don't think you'd want to be really sort of having to hold on to this as a trade to buy. I think it'd be just way too dangerous and cost quite a lot of money.
Yeah, look, as has been proven, since COVID, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This is COVID here. Yeah. COVID turned this around.
Yeah.
Well, or did it? Where's that? Took it a little while, I suppose. Yeah, it took till that's August. So that's 2 years. That's 3 years ago now. Right now. That's 3 years ago.
Talking of COVID, mate, we've started working on a new vaccine for something called Virus X, I think they're calling it, because they're not sure which strain it's going to be. Reputable source, and
dream up another one, have they?
Yeah. Well, there's another one coming. I think interesting as well. I think with the COVID picture is that people may well react negatively if they see another spike in something, in some sort of pandemic cases. They'll probably sort of like panic again. But actually, because of COVID, I think the authorities are in a much stronger position to deal with the next one.
Yeah, look, if you believe the authorities or Big Pharma, if you believe other people who will still tell you, and probably have a reason so to do these days, that it was a hoax, I'm going there. That's not my thing to argue that point, but there's still two sides to the coin.
Always.
Always, absolutely right. Now, Lewis, oil is weak in August. Okay, I'll take that on board. And if I do see a false break, as you're suggesting, may well be the case. Certainly, I'll be looking at that. No question. I don't know why I've still got those numbers there. Gold seasonal. I think it's weak till October. Is that right, Ash? Or
Just
maybe
bringing it up.
September? Can't quite remember.
I think it's September as well, but I'll have a look. Rallies until 29th of August.
Rallies.
Hmm.
I don't want to hear that.
Actually, if you look at the longer term picture, it's kind of like started a seasonal long. 55 years, over the last 55 years, we've seen gold long since around about the second week in July.
Right, let's see if this is true.
Right up
There's
until
July.
February.
There's July, right there.
Right.
Went long, maybe a higher low. July last year. So that's this year.
Yeah, I mean, it really does depend on which time period you look on it. If I'm looking at if I look at the 20-year, which is a little bit to smooth out some of it, it would suggest that we rally up until around about September, the first week in September, before it kind of goes into a little bit of sideways consolidation.
Okay, always worth having a look at. I notice Paul was talking about a seasonal indicator that somebody has created. Don't know who.
Peter, I think.
Okay, Peter. Wonder what's that? Not that I'm a fan of indicators. Is that worth chucking on your chart or what?
Oh, for sure, mate. Yeah, I think there's some of the tests that have been done. It would have kept certainly. You know, when I think they've done some of the tests with the Wave Rider, and some of the trades it would have certainly kept you out of were they're quite numerous. So it could be very, very useful, I think, for people to look at.
Actually, I've been having a look at the Wave Rider a little bit in the last couple of weeks since I've been having nothing else to do on a Monday or a Thursday.
Yeah,
like hell. And I've noticed a lot of those entries occur at resistance and support levels. Is that typical?
Yeah, because there is, you know, what one of the indications of trading is the horizontal lines.
Okay, but they're trying to go through those levels. I've seen quite often. I think, ooh, that's something I wouldn't do.
Go with them. I think sort of like the idea is to go with them. So, you know, if you're looking at gold, I mean, it's a weekly chart, but let's say, you know, if there's a horizontal level here, so if you're looking to go long.
Well, use this chart, for instance. Today we were faced with, do we go short here? And my answer was no, we don't, because we're at a support level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yet, if that was trending,
yes,
the Wave Rider would select that as a trade.
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested in that, because if I can find a way to trade through support or resistance, I think that's fantastic. But I don't know, is that one of the filters that are now being added, is not to do that?
Do you know what, mate? I'll tell you what. Tomorrow when we chat, I'll go through the whole thing with you, and
okay,
just so you
cool.
can, you can get a really good, thorough understanding of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Won't take me long.
That'd be good. Because if I can layer that onto my daily stuff, I'd be interested in having a look at it.
Yeah.
Because that does keep me out of a lot of trades. But I think that's overall, that's a good thing for me.
I totally agree. I totally agree, because actually sort of like keeping us out of trades is probably more valuable sometimes than getting us in. Because the truth is that the more selective we are, the better our results will be. So anything that keeps us out of trades, I think is probably something well worth looking for. It's a bit like, Gordon talking about trading really being about the target and not the entry. Obviously, when you start kind of trading and learning to trade, it's all about entries and this. You have a look for that, but actually, it does. When you sort of evolve into sort of thinking about the target, then if that keeps you out of trades, really useful. Like it has done for me today. 1-to-1. I don't mind a 1.5-to-1, but when it gets less than that, it just doesn't become quite as attractive. And actually, I've passed on, 3 or 4 trades today purely because of the targets just don't look very attractive to me. And I think filters that keep you out of trades probably are much more valuable than ones that get you in.
Long term, 100%.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lose focus of that because you might miss 1 or 2 that actually go the distance, and you think, oh my God, if only I didn't have that filter, I'd be okay. And then you might tend to dismiss it. But it's all about the long term. This is not about today. It's not about this week. It's about next year and all the rest of it.
Right.
You got to stay in the game.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's all about staying in the game.
I'm looking for a reason to be confident about the euro today. I haven't found one.
Yeah, I was going to say, good luck with that, mate.
This looks like an ugly chart to me. The one thing I would say is a false break of this area might be interesting. I'm not saying it's compelling, but it might be interesting. I found a new toy when I was doing. It's called the disappearing pen trick.
Oh yeah.
Now I can't find the bloody thing. Maybe that's it. That's not it. That's Spotty the dog. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
fade
that's
away.
Cool.
Look at that.
Oh, is that on
Isn't
the
that
Zoom?
amazing? Yeah.
Oh right.
It's on Zoom under Vanishing Pen.
Oh right.
I don't think it's actually called that. I think it's under Spotlight or Highlight or something.
Okay.
So up here, consolidate, down here. But the trick is now you've got to clear these pivots, right? So that's going to create a problem. You've got to get underneath them and then retest the whole shooting match before you can go short. And going short there is suicide. Going short there is risky. So it's going to be a whole real bad scene trying to trade that today. It's something I don't want to do, frankly.
Yeah. I'm up for waiting for some clarity.
Yep. And that leaves me with where I want to finish today. We looked at pound versus the Swissy. And here's the conundrum that I face. Let's go back to here. Pound versus, no, not there. There. Pound versus Swissy we've already spoken about. And for the life of me, I can't see anything but a buying area where we are. Just can't see anything other than that. But then I look at pound versus the yen, and I've got almost a perfect setup here. If today's bar closes as is, I'm short underneath here tomorrow without any question at all, because it's exactly the same trade as euro versus the yen. The problem I've got is I need euro yen to be in profit before I add to that position, which is effectively what I'd be doing here. But this is giving me a pretty clear picture that, and it's in a very difficult position, I've got to say, because of the strength of the trend. I need to see a couple of things, as always. I need to see a reversal pattern. Is that a double top? Is that a lower high? On back of that double top, are these three amigos sitting here? What are three amigos doing sitting as a lower high? That doesn't make sense to me at all. So it's very confusing, but this is not. This is clear. Break, consolidate, back underneath, retest, but not only the trade line. Monthly pivot, weekly pivot, daily pivot, they're all in there. So the resistance is above me as I enter that trade. So that's all I need to see today is for that to close as is, and I will trade that short tomorrow. And I will add to the risk that I've got on euro yen if euro yen is not in TP1 area. So there I've got pound long versus the Swissy, pound short versus the yen, and pound short versus the dollar for exactly the same reason. This is a massive, massive false break potential. I could even be in that trade now, and the only reason I'm not is I've got a rule that prevents me from trading a low test bar followed by a high test bar, because essentially what that means is the market's got no effing idea what it's doing at that point. So why should I? So I need that to be resolved by something substantial. In other words, a bar like that. What do they call them? Decisive bar. And until I see that, I can't trade this. But super bearish signal for mine, that one there. So I'm, as I said from the outset, pound Swissy long, no setup yet. Pound yen short, there is a setup maybe in the morning, and pound dollar short maybe sometime tomorrow on a smaller time frame. There are two more. One's euro versus the Aussie, and euro versus the Aussie. Again, looking at market structure, probably there somewhere, and there. Clearly, we've broken high or broken long, if you like. You go a little bit wider. You've got a clear double top sitting there right now, but price has to agree with that, of course. That will happen if price comes back underneath the top side of this range, maybe under the weekly pivot, retests it from below, gives me a lower high, clear false break again, looking to trade that short. That's euro versus the Aussie. And the other one is euro dollar, and we spoke about euro dollar earlier, and this is based pretty much on three amigos sitting there, but more so confusing and conflicting price action. Not so much long term. I still think long term we've got a massive shot at a long here, and nothing's changed that. We've got an inside bar there. Oh, I should explain that for those of you who are not on board with that. I am very, very interested in this going up to here somewhere, and in extension up to here somewhere. And that coincides, as I said before, the dollar index going way lower. It's the same thing at the end of the day. And I've already got that false break in place and the entry above there, stop loss below. Since that occurred, we have had three amigos. We've got a very clear, once again, there's beautiful market structure going on at the moment. Love it to pieces. Since then, we've put that structure in place, and we've got price sneaking or trying to sneak back below that horizontal level, which is pretty much that red line. But the three amigos here are telling me that if price, and this is why this candle on the weekly chart, which is a game changer bar, I've got to say, is untradeable for me. I cannot go long euro dollar right now because I'm seeing this. This structure is telling me we're going here before we're going here. So I'm a massive bear. Sorry, I won't say massive bear. That's not true, because I can see the other side of the coin. I can see the upside as well. But I still believe that this structure will play out, and we're going down to here. For that reason, I am looking to play euro dollar short, and there's the structure I'm talking about. Can I do it at the moment? Not on your life, because I'm at that support level. But anything up here that gets me into the market short makes perfect sense to me. That could come as early as today on the back of not so great, but this would be okay. Up, consolidate, back underneath the pivots, retest, then I can go short. That's what I'm looking for. Euro dollar short, Euro Aussie short. I think Euro Aussie short's a good one. I think pound dollar is a good one. And if pound Swissy can take off, my goodness me, there's an amazing amount of upside on pound versus the Swissy if we can get into it. Use the next high on Euro on the daily chart, Lewis. Use the next high. Oh, okay, as my entry short. Is that what you mean? TL. Code. That's code for
Trend line.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Duh. Right. So here, short at the confluence area. That'd be nice. I get that. Righto. Happy days. At the moment, looks like a false break for the upside. Interesting. Like that. Thanks, Lewis. You're always on the ball. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Shift my top. You mean down to here? Oh, up to here. Okay. Oh my God, I invented trade lines, Lewis, and now you're telling me that I've got them wrong. And you're right. You're 100% right. This is a trend line. That's why I got it wrong. So it's not a trade line. Thanks, mate, for pulling me out of the POO. Appreciate it. We're out of here, Ash.
Cool, man. All right, lovely to be back, mate. Good to see you again. I will speak to you tomorrow. And obviously good to see everybody in the room too. Have a great week, guys, and just be patient. The market will come to you. Don't try and chase it. Is the major key, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And especially at the moment, because I think there's a lot of, I don't know if they're traps, but I don't know if they're being set as traps, but I think you could easily get it wrong. I'll put it that way.
Agreed.
Have a great week, mate. And we'll catch up tomorrow.
Good stuff, buddy. You too. Everyone else, have a wonderful time and trade well. We'll catch you on Thursday. Hooroo. Bye-bye for now.